ASAP Elite, Achievement, Success, and Perseverance. Our next guest has agreed to share with us his wisdom gained from professional sports, business, and life experiences that has allowed him to reciprocate the benefits of his journey. Please allow us to introduce to you best-selling author, keynote speaker, and HBCU alum, Marques Ogden. How you doing?
Doing well, man. How about yourself?
Oh, I'm wonderful, man. Just ready to receive all the great information that you have to give and share with me and our audience, and can't wait to get started.
Sounds good, man. Fire it away.
Can you begin by introducing to our audience what got you into football and your career path through football, ultimately leading to the NFL and having a solid career?
So for me, playing football started when I was a freshman in high school. I went to St. John's College High School in Washington, D.C. We played teams like DeMatha, Gonzaga, the Council, Carroll, real good football program for high school. And to tell you the truth, man, I thought my football career was over after high school because I didn't get any offers until the very end when I got an offer from Howard University to come play football for the Bison. And I grew from 6'3" to almost 6'6" between my last year of high school and my first year of college, which helped me out tremendously. Got to Howard, redshirted, became a 4-year starter and offensive tackle. I went to center the last 6 games of my senior year because one of our center blew his knee out. And I went in and played center, in my last 6 games of my senior year. I went to the Hula Bowl, played with on the famed team with Mac Brown was my head coach, the head coach of North Carolina. Played against Larry Coker and his guys from like Miami, Notre Dame. And on my team, we had guys from Florida State, Rice, Texas. So it was great. Went there, had a real good Hula Bowl outing, and got drafted to the National Football League by the Jacksonville Jaguars and Jack Del Rio. And my director of pro personnel, who was James Shaq Harris, who was one of the first African Americans in the National Football League, played quarterback and went to Grambling under Eddie Robinson. So was very fortunate to have a lot of history, great coaches, great people around the NFL, from Jack Del Rio to Brian Dillett, Jeff Fisher to Mike Mularkey, Dick Geron, and played under some great owners and learned the game of football, but again, also learned about the game of life as well.
Disparities of financial literacy in African-American demographics, such as medium household income, accruing debt before they really establish a solid, stable employment foundation, pretty much knowing how to build network has really plagued our community. What strategy would you suggest to poor or middle-class parents who most likely never were introduced to the theory of financial literacy, but looking to break the cycle with their children?
So I would say, Coach, is they need to go to some of the free apps like Mint, QuickBooks you can get access to, and learn how to what I call budget. That is the true basis of financial literacy. Are you bringing in more than you're putting out? And that's where you need to start. Don't look at like the stock market, all that, because that's going to complicate things, futures, dividends, derivatives, all that stuff. I have a degree in finance, so I know about that QSIP numbers, stock and bonds. From my dad went to Howard as well and has a degree in economics. So learned a lot about that at a young age. But for parents trying to break the cycle, learn how to budget. That's the number one thing to help you get a good, solid foundation of financial literacy. Are you bringing in more than it's going out? And once you learn how to budget and balance what's going on, you want to start breaking the cycle of living paycheck to paycheck. Yeah. But if you're putting out more than you're bringing in, then you'll always be in that cycle of living paycheck to paycheck. So for us, I know about Mint. I have online banking. I know what we have coming in. I know what's going out. Because we also have a business. We have a bookkeeper. We run monthly reports. But again, you don't need to start all that because that's going to be more of a high level. If you're looking to grow a business, I always tell people, bookkeeping and accountants. If you don't know what you're making, and if you don't know if you're more profitable in the black or in the red, you're not gonna have a solid business. But it speaks the same volumes to any parent trying to break the cycle. Learn how to budget. Are you bringing in more that's going out? And that's where you need to start.
Many times with, like I said, the disparity in institutional racism, things of that nature, it kind of hinders us of developing that nest egg in order to be able to save and get that started. And that's usually generational and passed down. Right now in America, white family annual income is still 3 times higher than African Americans. And when it comes down to financial literacy education, whites have 55% literacy and blacks 35%. Over the last 10 years, there's been talks of putting, financial literacy courses inside the curriculum, concentrating on the inner city. There's been conversations over the last decade about creating financial education courses that will implement at inner city public schools. Do you believe that the addition of courses structured as requirements will assist in closing the gap?
Oh, absolutely, Coach, without a doubt, because the more you start learning how to do something at a young age, it becomes habit. It's just like playing football, playing basketball. We go practice, we shoot free throws, we take our pass sets, we throw the football, we run our routes, all that. That's repetition. Same thing when it comes to financial literacy. I was raised in a household to understand finance at a young age. Now, I went bankrupt in 2013 because I lost sight of the golden rule: treat people the way you want to be treated. And I got very arrogant, I got very complacent, and I became very ego-driven. That's why I went out of business. But I knew the numbers. I also how to treat people. If young people learn how to do this in school, again, some budgeting classes, make it very simplistic. Don't try to go too far over these young people's heads. What's coming in, like me, when I was drafted to the NFL, I did an article with CNN Money. I had my old budget from 2003. I knew how much money was coming in every week from my game checks. And I looked at the monthly bills, my rent, my car note, my insurance. I just itemized everything. So I knew what was coming in and what needed to go out to bills. And I put other money away, savings account, investments. But again, everything, Coach, started with a budget, and I built from there.
One of the things I want to ask you, especially with your advanced knowledge when it comes to finances, we have a lot of parents that truthfully, they don't make enough to be able to well, you can always budget, but like when we're talking, you'd mentioned something about saving, and I think that is that's extremely important in this particular time. But we're dealing so often right now where we have a lot of, especially people that look like us, right? Yes. They don't. What advice would you give someone who's barely scraping by as far as what they're making, and they may have 3-4 kids that are in school at different ages and whatnot, they don't feel like they have the money to save. What kind of advice would you give to them?
And let me add to that real quick, Mr. Ogden. So also, you're from the DMV area. I'm from Detroit.
Okay.
Professor Haas is Dallas, in Los Angeles, Riverside, pretty much. So you understand the unemployment rate there in those cities. So that question that he just asked you is very important to people that have no clue how, when it comes to, applying this while living check to check. You get what I'm saying?
So here's what I'm gonna tell you, man. I have been there. I lost everything in 2013, had $400 to my name. That's it. Fired from 2 jobs in the same week, had nothing to put away, savings gone, checking account gone, credit cards gone, where I'm literally paycheck to paycheck, and I literally didn't even really have enough to pay bills for a while. Thank God for the NFL giving me our saving grace, helping us through that time. Because without them, I know exactly what you're talking about. And still, after that period left, I still barely made enough to get by. Yeah. Barely. And there was even some months I was in the red and couldn't pay things. So I've been there. What I'm going to tell you is get in the habit. If you have anything extra left over, and sometimes you will, sometimes you won't. Yep. If you do, put it away. Start making that process. That's what I did. I pay the bills. Sometimes I have $5 left over that month. I put it into the bank. Sometimes I had zero. Sometimes I was in the red. And if I was in the red, I just prayed to God, worked hard, and tried to catch up the next month. I know what it's like. Haven't always been successful as a speaker. Haven't always had these big companies, Home Depot, Bank of America, as clients. Haven't always had large consulting contracts. 2013, man, I was literally making $8.25 an hour, working from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. on the graveyard shift as a custodian. Right. And that's after an NFL career, after a multi-million-dollar business. So I get it. But you just got to create habits of trying to do this if you can. Some months you can, some months you can't. But you just got to put into your mind to try to get to that point. That's all you can do.
In one of the most impactful books that I've ever read, Sleepless Nights, you do mention how you were faced with losing over $2 million in 90 days due to business transactions and things of that nature. What did you learn from that process, the losing part?
I learned not to put all of my eggs in one basket. That's the cardinal mistake entrepreneurs make. And I also learned that a business is a piece of paper. It's not a human being. It's not an emotional attachment. The minute you get emotionally attached to a business and you don't make sound decisions, you end up putting yourself in a situation where you can lose everything. And I've been there. I treated my company like a baby, like a human. It was not so. And because of that lack of discipline and that lack of being real with myself, I got way over my head, spent between $2 and $3 million in 90 days, was denied my change order, and pow, I end up losing it all. All of my money, my home's foreclosed on, both cars repossessed in the same day. I was a multimillionaire in April 2012. April 2013, fellas, I had $400 to my name, and that's all I had. That's it. And I was making $8.25 an hour in September after I was fired. I was at Merrill Lynch making $1,400 every 2 weeks. I thought that was great, man. But I'm like, my bills were more than that. So I'm like, what the hell? So I took on another job doing football training. I fell behind at Merrill Lynch, fired. Went to the construction company the next day, 5 days, fired. They shut down the parts of that operation. I'm out of a job. Football and custodian work kept me afloat barely between September 2013 and March 2014 until I launched my camps and my 7-on-7 leagues. Again, still just making enough to get by barely. Some months a little bit extra, some months not, some months behind. It always varied. Inconsistent, but I still had to have discipline to do what I needed to do to get myself ahead if I could.
You know, I really appreciate you being as open and honest as you have been, because the audience that's going to be listening to this podcast, they're trying to go down that road that you and go to the NFL. And see, we have so many people that believe that once I make it to the NFL, once I make it to professional sports, right? Not just the NFL. NFL is not the only one that pays money. That, you know, we don't have to worry about struggling anymore. But here you are telling us that, you know, in 2012, you were a millionaire. In 2013, you were broke.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
And so, one, like I said, thank you for being so open and honest, because I think that's something that people needed to hear. But another thing that you said earlier that I really want to bring out is you said that even if it's $5, see, because a lot of times I know I've done it, right? I have $5. I'm just like, I mean, I can't put this in the bank. What it look like filling out a deposit slip for this $5? But the thing is that if you do that enough, it starts $5. You have to start with something,
Right.
and
You
and and,
have
and
to
I think
start
that that's
somewhere.
what you're trying to put out there, is that you have to start somewhere in order to get where you're trying to go. And so I think that is a lesson that we all can take heed of, is that, when you're talking about saving, start with what you can. No, you can't save $300-400 a check because you don't have it. Start with
Right.
$5.
Start with anything, man, because what you need to do, you need to get yourself in the habit of saving and putting yourself in a position of habitual saving. And again, that's the problem with a lot of people. I think it's like almost 90% of society cannot afford an emergency situation if it happens. Getting a tire, whatever the case may be, they don't have it. Because what happens when we get down to like $5, $10, instead of putting that to the bank, and next thing you know, you might have $500 or $1,000 of emergency money. You spend it on food. You spend it on something that it's immediate gratification. And that's not what we need to have in this world. You need to learn to save for a rainy day. We have done that. We put money away into an account that we don't see. We don't have access to it with a bank card. We don't have access to it with any type of debit card, nothing. It's there. We know it's there, but it's what we call our emergency fund. And what we're doing is we need to pay taxes, or we have something come up emergency-wise, the money's there. And that's what you got to train yourself to put stuff away that you can't see, you can't access, unless it's a dire situation. Then take your butt to the bank and get it out and go do what you need to get done. That's the problem. Because of technology and a lot of social media and that fast-paced life, people have access to stuff they shouldn't have access to, and then they spend it because it's there and they can get their hands on it.
Now, the discipline that you had to bounce back, very impressive. But more impressive was having the mental strength to bounce back. And I don't want to leave that out, to our listeners about your story. They go hand in hand together. You grit your teeth, you went to work, you did what you had to do for your family, and things start getting back to normal. But you took that, you did what you had to do. No matter how it was with your image or what you just had last year, and now you're this, because you go through something psychologically going through that. But you were able to sustain, and everything that you learned inside of football, to carry through, keep pushing. You were able to translate that off the field in that situation. And like I said, I just want to commend you on that, man, because we needed to hear that too.
So there's three keys, Coach, to an unbreakable mindset. Number one is you have to have good physiology. What I mean by that is you have to move with energy, you have to be positive, you have to be uplifting. Even if you're struggling, our minds and our bodies will feed off of how we move, how we react, and what we do. If we're moping around, feeling sorry for ourselves, like poor me, that becomes our mindset, which puts us on a path to having a broken mindset. So that's number one, good physiology. Two, you have to control your mental focus. When I lost everything in 2013, in September 2013, after my pivotal moment, I realized that, Marques, you cannot go back in time and make the decisions that you know now to not do that work, to not hire that crew, to not work with that partner, to not get in bed with that company and let it go this far without signed paperwork. You can't do that. All you can control right now is your mental focus going forward. You cannot rewrite the past, but you can write the future. So when I started thinking like that, it allowed me to control my mental focus and worry about what I could control, not what I couldn't control. And third thing, believe at your core that you deserve to succeed. I am from Washington, D.C. I grew up 10 minutes from the Minnesota Street Projects, one of the worst projects in Washington, D.C. I went to Howard University back when it was not what it is today. Very nice, high, pretty rise, all this type of stuff. Howard was in the ghetto. You could get shot walking from your dorm to not to a class. You can go from your dorm to another dorm that wasn't inside the walls of Howard. You could get shot like that on Georgia Avenue. Look at somebody wrong on Georgia Avenue back in the late 90s, see what they do to you. Yeah, I knew guys like, oh man, I'm from New York. I'm from New York. I'm like, dude, you're not in New York. You're in DC. One guy tried that with these guys from DC, man. They shot him and killed him, man. Yeah. And I said, dude, because you don't understand. When I went to Howard back then, it was a great educational institution, always has been, but it was not a safe area. When my dad went there in the 70s, the 60s and 70s, it wasn't safe either. My father got robbed by a guy back in the 60s and 70s. Now it's gone so much further today, but I'm not just from like, the hills or like Beverly Hills or Orange County. I mean, I'm from Washington, D.C., man. Like I've seen a lot. My grandfather worked as a Boys and Girls Club volunteer for 60 years in Southeast D.C., one of the worst ghettos, one of the worst areas in Southeast. Worked there every day. So I've been around a lot, man. I've been around all types of situations. What I'm getting at is that your mindset, if you allow yourself to focus on what you can control and what you can't control, let it go, you put yourself in that state. Aristotle has a great saying, in times of extreme darkness, focus on the light. And that's true. So control your mental focus, have great physiology, move well, believe you can succeed. Those are 3 keys to an unbreakable mindset.
All right, since we're on these keys, I'm going to give to you a set of keys, and I want you to describe what they really mean in the essence and how they can apply, to people that really need to hear them. All right, we're going to start off with the pillars of success: accountability, consistency, effective communication, authenticity, and vulnerability. Can you explain those, what they really mean together?
So what those mean, it's the way in which you live your life. Are you accountable? Do you take ownership? Are you consistent? Do you communicate well? Are you reliable? Are you dependable? Everyone in life needs to take ownership of their own destiny. When I hear those words, the one word that comes to mind first is ownership. And then the mantra is ownership of your journey, or command of your own journey, or command of your own mission. When I took accountability in 2013, after that spoiled milk, raw banana peels, stinking, horrible, protruding, nasty meat got on my body, and I took responsibility that I put myself there because I made bad decisions, my life got better. Was it hard to do that? Yep. One of the first things I tell people to realign your mindset, you must evaluate where you are. And that's hard for a lot of people. You know who it's really hard for? Athletes that are leaving the game and don't know who they are anymore. And they're not happy where they are, and they don't want to be real with themselves. I've been there. I know what it's like. 6 months, alcoholic, pain popping addict, depressed. When I lost everything, I went bankrupt, same situation. Been there, done that. Had made lots of money. I made $8 an hour. So get me. I understand. Trust me. I know what it's like. But those words to me mean ownership. That's what I think of when I hear those words.
Man, that's awesome. That's awesome. All right. The next set. Your network.
Hold on, Coach. I can't let that pass, Coach. I'm sorry. That was good stuff, and especially because I want to. When you say ownership, see, the thing is when a lot of people, when they think ownership, they think having possession of, right? And I think what you pointed out is also the ownership is taking accountability of, right? And a lot of times people, you have a lot of people who think that they're owners and they're really just renting, and that's that, because there's no way you take that janitor's job if you don't take ownership. Right?
Right.
There's no, because the thing is at that, because what you said was something that was really profound, and I don't want anybody to miss it. You said that you understand that you put all that stank on you.
Yeah.
See, some people are walking around wondering why they stink. Well, stop swimming in the sewer.
For sure.
And so until you come to that particular point in your life where you realize that, oh, I'm stinking because I'm swimming in a sewer.
Insanity.
That's when you can make real change. And it seemed like until you got, because you were successful up until that point, right?
I was.
And so, but the thing is we, so like, we have a pandemic right now, and there's a lot of folks who were doing well that are no longer doing well. And so there's things that we have to take accountability for, and as your word, ownership of, in order for us to really make it to where we need to go. And I appreciate you for pointing that out.
Yeah, nobody put me in that janitor job. I put myself there by trusting a client that I shouldn't have for multiple seven figures. And I thought because they were my partner and they were my client that they cared about me. At the end of the day, they only cared about their bottom line, not ours. And I learned that the hard way, and it'll never happen again.
So, and this will be our Jabs Jim Birmingham question of the day. Your network is your net worth. How do you value your network? If you don't value it, cultivate it, and nurture it, it becomes worthless. If you do value it, then it becomes priceless. You break that down for our audience so they understand that clearly.
I have a saying, it's not who you know, it's who knows you. Who's gonna value you and stand up for your work? It doesn't matter if you know someone. For example, we all know of Tony Robbins, or we all know of LeBron James. Does LeBron James know who we are? Right? Take Warren Buffett and LeBron. LeBron knows Warren. Warren knows LeBron. That's the type of situation people are like, oh, it's like all about who you know. No. I don't believe that. It's all about who knows you and who will speak up for you. Your network is your net worth. But here's what people don't understand. It takes time to develop your network. One of my biggest clients, it took us almost 7 months to get a job from them. Got the job from them October 2019, did a job for them at their headquarters January 2020. And in the last 14 months, we have brought in almost $70,000 of revenue from that client in the last 14 months. But it took us 7 to 8 months to get to the point to actually do work with them. Now they're one of our best clients, one of our best relationships, because we valued and developed that network, that relationship. Now it shows in our net worth on our profits and loss statement.
My man. Now, I could keep you all day, man, and just talk to you and just gain all this wisdom from you. But I understand you have to go. Like I say, since the moment that I noticed you, you've been captivating, motivating, inspirational. And I had to get you on the show, man, to introduce you to people who may be going through things, who don't know how to get out of it. It could use, your gift and everything that you present to your audiences as a means of picking themselves up, getting back rolling, and looking at things from a different perspective. So man to man, I want to thank you, as a former player and as a fan of yours. I really appreciate it. And welcome to the ASAP Elite family.
That's right.
Appreciate it, brother.
We got to get you back on, man. We definitely.
Oh, absolutely. And I'll end with this. If people are struggling right now, do exactly what I did. When I came home after that spoiled milk moment, I sat at my broken, flimsy office table with my chair that only had 2 wheels out of 3 because I couldn't afford to go buy another one. So I would just I put a book underneath that 3rd wheel so it wouldn't roll. And I wrote down my 3 biggest strengths. It's easy to tell us that's what we don't do well. That's easy. The world will tell us that. Mm-hmm. What do you do well? Figure out your 3 biggest strengths, then compute if you don't like where you are, what do those 3 strengths equal or come out or compute to for a possible career change, opportunity to create a better life for yourself? I realized I was good at talking to people, telling stories. I wanted to help people, specifically NFL brotherhood, not go bankrupt like I did. Once I realized that everybody has problems, not just football players, I started to expand. Here we are today. But if I didn't go home after that life-changing moment and write down my 3 biggest strengths, I wouldn't be here today. I would have gone home, took a shower, and said, oh, this is my life. Oh, poor me. Oh, people put me here, and felt sorry for myself. But here's the catch, everybody. Nobody gives a damn about where you are in your life. Right. Nobody. Because they have their own life to live. So understand your 3 biggest strengths, compute if you don't like where you are, what are those 3 strengths, compute out to, make the change, and then from there, start to build your next phase of life. That's what I did. I'm no better than you. If I can do it, so can you.
And there's no way around it or shortcut. That's what it is.
No, there's no shortcut. There's no overnight success. Been doing this now for almost 8 years. And without going through the struggles, I wouldn't be here right now. So that's right. What it is.
That's right. So once again, I just want to thank you, brother. Look forward to talking to you again, man. You have a blessed day.
Have a good one, man. Thank you, fellas.
All right, take care.
Man, his story is common, very common. Maybe not on that level, but it happens to all of us. The bounce back. How you gonna take it?
Resilience, absolutely.
Resiliency at its finest. His book was filled with resilience, from him being at Howard to going to the NFL to, copping out. Hey, I'm gonna go play with my brother. Things would be better there. When his coach was on him here in Jacksonville, thinking that, that situation would be better when he felt like the coach was trying to pull the most out of him in Jacksonville, but he didn't recognize it. To learning that, and being able to apply that after football, to be able to categorize everything, compartmentalize everything, and distribute it to people who need to hear it.
Well, no. Go ahead. You sound like you're about to say something really profound. Let's go with it.
From financial literacy to, being down and out and fighting back, being who we are is all about. It happens constantly. You surely and certainly know how to defend yourself from it after a while. Like you were talking about that sewer, swimming that sewer. Eventually, you ain't gonna go swim in that sewer.
Well, here's one thing that I didn't get a chance to point out. See, not only does that sewer make you stink, but swimming in that sewer is toxic. You see what I'm saying? As it continues to, you've gotten used to the smell, so only the people around you can smell you.
Yeah.
But it's toxic. It can kill you.
Yeah.
And as you can see from his story, it honestly, I won't say it killed him, but it put him on life support.
That's right.
And so that's what swimming around in the sewer will do. And he says something that I really want to point out. He talks about it's not who you know, it's who knows you.
Yeah.
But there's something that needs to be added to that as well. Is it is who knows you, but it's what they know about you.
There you go.
You see what I'm saying? Because he talked about those strengths, right? And if the people who know you don't know what your strengths are, one, because you don't, then and then if I know you, if I'm LeBron James, and I know you, Coach Penn, and I know that Coach Coach Penn, when the going gets tough, Coach Penn is out. You know,
sure.
So and, if I know Coach Penn is a quitter,
Yeah.
So you have control over what people know about you. What are you going to do with that?
That's right.
Right. And so those are just, I mean, he said some really thought-provoking things, and we definitely have to have him back on, because there's so much more I'd like to ask him, and it's so much more that I think our audience needs to hear.
You can't treat a business like a human. He didn't go into it. But you can't treat it with emotion. You get what I'm saying? And things of that nature, like you treat a human, because you lose the essence of a business, and you become lenient. And then people take advantage of you because they think that they can, and ultimately it's a snowball effect.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I've done a lot of consulting, and I remember there were times when like I would start working with somebody, and I'd give them. I had one of my close friends who's a lawyer. He actually put together a general non-disclosure agreement for me, and so what would happen is, before I would sit there and talk to them about their ideas and what they're trying to do, I'd give them a non-disclosure agreement. And they say, "Oh, okay." He's like, "I'm confused. Why are we signing this?" I said, "No, this is for you." See, the thing is before you sit here and you divulge what your brainchild, you want to make sure that that there's some level of protection on you. So we have to make sure that we protect ourselves. Now, you treat humans with human, and there's going to be emotion in that, and you want to understand that. But on the business side, there's just certain things that have to be done. Because I asked you to sign an NDA didn't mean that I think you're going to screw me. The thing is that I have to protect what I've built. And so I'm sorry, the homie code don't always work.
No, definitely. But you have to go through that. You have to go through that. And a person, that is taken for weakness, that heart, and which I cannot, I hate that, about people, that they attack that, but that's where you learn. And that's the best way to learn, is through those experiences, to get everything snatched away from you. But then you find out who you are and what you're made of.
Right. Well, and also, I would say for some people, that's the best way to learn, right? Because for others, it's going to break them down, and they'll never recover from it.
Because they weren't who they thought they were.
Well, not even that. Sometimes they knew who they thought they were. See, the thing is some people, that is the best way for them to learn.
Yes, that's right.
But there are some people that if that's not the best way for you to learn, and I'm not saying you fell on purpose, right?
Yeah,
we're not saying that by any stretch of the imagination, but for those who know that they ain't built like that, then learn from somebody else's mistakes.
Exactly. But in retrospect, and in addition to that, losing everything, having the strength, the courage to go get that $8.50 job to take care of you and your family, to go work at a call center, to take care of you and your family, to do whatever you have to do to provide for your family. That's uncanny and unprecedented, and it should be rewarded, amongst us that respect that struggle and that grind and the will to get up and keep fighting.
Right. And he just did what he had to do, right? I mean, the thing is, he was working that job and training with training people football. So he took the talent and the gift that he had. He's just like, all right, I got to do this to pay the bills.
I think that was at Merrill Lynch.
What's that?
I think he was. That was during the time of Merrill Lynch. Or I might be wrong about that. I'm sorry.
Well, it may have been, but I thought it was he was doing that between both, because I think he started at Merrill Lynch, and then when he got the janitor's job.
Yeah, that's right. You're right about that. I apologize.
Yeah, so it's just, but the thing is that writing those three things, those three strengths down, everybody has strengths.
Yeah, that's right.
And you have to be able to use your strengths to flourish, to help you to to be who you need to be.
That's right. And last but not least, the pillars of success, ultimately ownership, accountability, consistency, effective communication, authenticity, and vulnerability. Let that sink in, fellas. Now, hey, we want to thank you guys for coming out with us again. This episode was it was powerful.
Yeah, it was deep. It was
deep. And once again, I appreciate Marques Ogden, and we look forward to having you guys back next week on ASAP Elite Podcast.